All right, let's talk about something you've seen a million times. Those three big numbers on a bag of fertilizer. You know the ones. They kind of look like a secret code, right? Well, guess what? We are going to crack that code right here, right now. I mean, seriously, you walk into the garden center and you're just hit with this wall of bags. 10, 10, 10 over here, 3205 over there. It's just a sea of numbers. It can feel totally overwhelming, like you need a chemistry degree just to figure out what your lawn wants to eat. Okay, so yeah, it is a code. But here's the good news. It's a really simple one once you know the secret. So let's dive in. We're going to turn that confusion into total confidence. And by the end of this, you won't just know what those numbers mean, you'll know how to use them like a pro. Okay, section 1, the code on the bag. And here's the subtitle, why the numbers don't add up. Yeah, there's a little twist coming that you might not expect. So those three numbers you see, that's the NPK, which stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And what the numbers mean is pretty simple on the surface. It's the percentage of each one by weight. So if you've got a 100-pound bag of 10, 10, 10, you've got 10 pounds of nitrogen, 10 pounds of, well, we'll get to that. Seems simple, right? But hold on, because here's where things get a little weird. And here it is. This is the first big secret of the code. The N for nitrogen, totally straightforward. That number tells you how much actual elemental nitrogen is in the bag. But the P and the K, whoa, not so much. They're listed as phosphate and potash. These are the oxide forms. Think of it this way. It's not the pure stuff. It's the element all bundled up with oxygen. So you got to be asking, why? Why do they do it this way? Well, it's basically a historical hangover. Back in the day, it was just way easier for chemists to measure these things in their oxide forms. The crazy part is, your plants don't even use P2O5 or Ke2O. They need the pure stuff. But the old labeling standard just stuck, which is why some chemists have called it a veil exaggeration. Love that phrase. It basically means the number on the bag makes it look like you're getting more than you actually are. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. Look at that. If you want to give your plants 1 single pound of actual phosphorus, you need to apply nearly 2.3 pounds of the stuff listed on the bag as phosphate. That is, wow, that's more than double. So the big takeaway here is that those P and K numbers, they're definitely not telling you the full story. All right, section 2, what your plants crave, the specific jobs of N, P, and K. So now that we know what's in the bag, let's talk about why your plants are so hungry for this stuff. What's each one's job exactly? Okay, first up is nitrogen, or N. Just think of it as the growth nutrient. This is the one that's all about making things green and leafy. It drives the growth of stems and leaves. It's also a key ingredient for chlorophyll, which is what gives plants that beautiful, rich green color. You want a lush lawn? Nitrogen is your best friend. Next is phosphorus, the P. If nitrogen is for leafy growth, phosphorus is for roots and fruits. You can think of it as the energy nutrient. It helps the plant build a strong root system, and it's absolutely crucial for producing flowers, fruits, and seeds. So it's all about building a solid foundation and then, making the good stuff. And that brings us to potassium, the K. This one is the quality nutrient. It's like a multivitamin for your plant. It helps it manage water, which means better drought resistance. It fires up all these essential enzymes, and it basically just makes the plant tougher and stronger, helping it fend off diseases, pests, and pretty much any other stress you can think of. Okay, section 3, how to read the leaves. Subtitle, Becoming a Plant Detective. This is where it gets really cool, you guys. We're going to learn how to let the plants tell us exactly what they need. Now here is the absolute number one most important clue you need to know, where on the plant the problem is showing up. See, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are all mobile nutrients. What does that mean? It means the plant is smart. When it's running low, it'll actually pull these nutrients out of its old lower leaves and send them up to the new growth. So here's the rule. If you see a problem with N, P, or K, it's going to show up on the older, lower leaves first, every time. And this right here, this is your official plant detective cheat sheet. So you see a problem on the lower leaves. What is it? Well, if it's just a general all-over pale yellowing, that's your classic sign of not enough nitrogen. If the leaves look kind of dark green but have these weird reddish-purple tips, ding, 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 that's a phosphorus problem. And if the edges of those lower leaves look yellow and almost burnt, you're looking at a potassium shortage. All right, section 4 is math that matters. Let's move from just guessing to using some simple math for total precision. Look, the absolute best way to do this is to get a soil test. No guessing. It'll give you a recommendation, probably in pounds per acre, whatever. So let's say it comes back recommending 1.5 pounds of N and half a pound each of P and K. How do you find a product that matches? It's easy. Just find the lowest number, in this case it's 0.5, and divide all three numbers by it. So 1.5 divided by 0.5 is 3. Half a pound divided by half a pound is 1. Boom. Your target ratio is 3:1:1. Now you can just walk into the store and look for a bag with that ratio, like a 21:7:7.
Okay, so you found the right product with the right ratio. Great. But how much of it do you actually put down? This next calculation is just as crucial.
Let's run through a quick example. Say your soil test says you need 40 pounds of phosphate. The product you bought is in 11,520, so it's 52% phosphate. You just take the amount you need, 40 pounds, and divide it by the percentage in the bag, which is 0.52. That tells you need to spread 77 pounds of the stuff per acre to hit your phosphate goal. Simple enough, but there's a catch. And here's the catch. Remember, that product was 11,520. It also had nitrogen in it. So when you put down the 77 pounds to get your phosphate, you also put down about 8.5 pounds of what we call incidental nitrogen. This is so important to track. If you needed to add more nitrogen later, you've got to remember to subtract this 8.5 pounds you already applied, otherwise you're going to overdo it. Okay, final section, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all. Section 5, feed plants, not algae. Because all this precision, all this math, it's not just about having a nice garden or saving a few bucks. It's way bigger than that. So what happens when we get the math wrong and put down too much fertilizer? Well, it doesn't just vanish. The rain comes and it washes all that extra nitrogen and phosphorus right into our waterways. And for algae, that is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. You get these massive, explosive algae blooms. But then all that algae dies and starts to decompose, and that process literally sucks the oxygen right out of the water. This creates what they call a dead zone, where nothing, no fish, no aquatic life, can survive. So, the next time you grab a bag of fertilizer, remember everything we talked about today. Cracking this code, it's not just about a greener lawn. It's about being smarter, being more precise, and being a good steward of the world around us. Because ultimately, you have to ask yourself this one simple question. Are you feeding your plants, or are you feeding the pollution downstream? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.